A sharp collapse. Similar cases. Bitcoin crashed. Trump's statement. The largest liquidation of positions. Major swings. Greetings to you, dear partners, investors, and viewers of our channel. My name is Evgeny Chuperka, and I am the founder of the RVB Group Investment Fund. First of all, in today's video, I would like to start by thanking you for your support, for your constant likes and comments on our channel. We strive to release new segments for you and make this content even higher quality. That's why we launched a special segment for you called From $100 to $100,000 in 1 year. And we are showing all of this in the public space. What steps we take, what we buy. Everything is completely transparent. All the content created on our channel exists solely thanks to you. And we do this with great pleasure. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. So, make yourself comfortable, and we'll get started. This week, the cryptocurrency market experienced major swings. A sharp drop on tariff news, record highs in derivatives, outflows from ETFs, and important steps toward regulation and payments. Let's break down what happened, where, when, and what it could lead to. On Friday, October 10th, after Trump's announcement of 100% tariffs on critical software from China, Bitcoin plummeted from $125,000 to $102,000. Within a day, about $30 billion worth of positions were liquidated, and in total, around $400 billion left the cryptocurrency market. And this was the largest liquidation of positions in the entire history of the cryptocurrency market. And I've been here since 2016. There were similar cases back in 2020, when Bitcoin dropped sharply by 50% from about $6,800. I still remember that day. I was sitting in one of the cafes, watching the market on my phone. I entered a short position and made a good profit. But I have never seen anything like what happened this time, with such enormous volumes, where some assets dropped by up to 99%. Today, Bitcoin is trading at around $107,000 to $102,000. The total capitalization of the cryptocurrency market is $3.9 trillion. Exchanges and infrastructures. After the flash crash, Binance announced a compensation program. The amounts range from hundreds of millions of dollars to several $100s. Everything is individual. But the fact that they took this step is already very good. This, I can tell you, is a very rare move for the cryptocurrency market and a very important signal regarding risk management. I think many people who lost funds in this situation on the cryptocurrency market have learned a lot for themselves. And as for those assets that lost more than 99% in an instant, those are very weak assets. Politics, banks, and payments. On October 10th, 10 major banks, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Bank, UBS, and others, announced a joint assessment of creating stablecoins pegged to G7 currencies. This is not a launch yet, but it is a very important signal. The banking sector is testing stablecoins as infrastructure. And on October 13th, Kenya passed a law regulating digital assets, including licenses from central banks and market regulators. Africa is accelerating the legalization of cryptocurrency services. On October 14th, the United Kingdom published a roadmap for the tokenization of funds. And on October 16th, the Federal Reserve, specifically Michael Barr, gave a speech about stablecoins and new payment technologies. On October 17th, fears surrounding US regional banks intensified. European indexes are falling while gold is hitting new record highs. And all of this is adding volatility to the cryptocurrency market. What does this mean for investors? Volatility is the norm. The market is a bit overheated right now, but institutional investors are not leaving. The trend towards stablecoins and tokenomics is accelerating at a rapid pace. Banks, regulators, and emerging markets are laying the legal groundwork. And this is a solid foundation for future inflows into this market. And all of this is bringing us closer and closer to the point where real-world payments using cryptocurrencies will soon become the norm. Friends, let me remind you that the RVB Group Investment Fund has been active in the market since 2016, and today we are growing assets such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, and USDT with an approximate yield of 3 to 8% per month. If you are interested in working with our fund, the links are in the description, Infobot or technical support service. We have also created an academy from our fund, where you can receive complete training from the most basic level to professional in this market. Details are also available via the links below. Now let's move on to looking at the charts. Let's see what's really going on there, because the news background won't give us as accurate and truthful a flow of information as the charts will. Alright, let's start the review. Let's begin. Review. 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 Bitcoin. Bitfinex exchange. Monthly time frame. We still have about 14 days left and the month isn't closed yet. Here we can see that the price has remained roughly in the range of $115,000 to $106,000 with the bars, and a bit higher, up to almost $125,600. Bitcoin even reached that level with its wicks. So far, the candlesticks here suggest that there may be a further decline, possibly a test of these zones. Since we have a cluster of candles here, and the candles themselves are rather questionable. And here we still have a good wick, at least for now. Yes, although it hasn't closed yet, the price has already dropped from the very top by 17.36%. This is already an important sign, even in the middle of this month. Let's look at the weekly time frame. We can see a slight rounding of the charts. We can also observe that our RSI was quite overheated and a bearish divergence has formed, which is now playing out. We have bearish divergences on the weekly time frame, so this decline has already been going on for the first week. The second week is starting, or rather, coming to an end. Maybe there will be 1 or 2 more weeks. I think at most there might be a corrective move and we'll see some sideways action here continue. Let's look at the daily time frame. We can see here that there was a sharp drop right on the news, right? But, it's not just the news that determines things. In fact, it was visible on the chart much earlier. I showed you the triple top. A triple top on the RSI is a very important signal. Yes, sometimes it played out, sometimes it didn't, because there weren't any real confirmations yet. But now we can see that a breakout has finally happened from the top down, and we're seeing a corrective move. This corrective move could go even lower. Now we'll take a closer look at exactly where it might go. The market is overheated, and it simply needs time to cool off. And this cooling off period will give the opportunity for a new jump. I understand that many investors, especially beginners, tend to buy in this market or in investing in general when the market is green, because psychologically it feels much easier. It seems like things are going up, everything is growing, so I'll get in and buy. But it's not that simple. Who said that? I think it was that guy who said you should buy when there's blood in the market. And he was absolutely right. Buying when everything is green is not such a great idea. We are going to use this movement specifically to buy back in. And now we'll look at the points where we will be buying the market back. Since it doesn't look like the market is finishing its growth, in fact, it's just heating up. So a triple top can, according to the RSI, play out nicely down to the 50th value. This is the 50th value. Let's see where it might go. This is how you can measure it. Well, this is pretty much the midpoint, the classic technical analysis target for a triple top. Therefore, most likely, we will still reach the 50th value, and then, exactly then, the market will cool off and there will be a new surge of growth. Let's open our charts with the drawings and take a look. We had a pretty good breakout above $107,000, and according to our chart, $107,000 is now a key zone. After consolidating below $107,000, especially on higher time frames, such as the weekly or monthly time frame, this movement will continue further downward. Anything above $108,000 is a signal for continued growth toward the area of about $140,000. That's where we have a magnet. Right now, as we've seen on the chart and tracked in previous reviews, there was a head and shoulders pattern on the weekly time frame. This is a very important sign. And let's take a look at where, according to classic technical analysis, and those of you who regularly watch our reviews know very well that technical analysis works excellently on higher time frames. This is how we measure it. We look at the breakout point and see that a good target for this head and shoulders pattern is around $94,000. And this is exactly where we have the 0.786 Fibonacci resistance. That's why, with a high degree of probability, Bitcoin is aiming for this level. But a deeper correction is also possible, and there could be consolidation down to $85,000, since that's the next level. However, this is only possible if Bitcoin settles below $95,000, or even better, $94,500, at least on the daily, or even better, the weekly time frame. This corrective movement, I believe, is most likely to end in these ranges, around $85,000. These are exactly the entry points we are considering for ourselves to open new positions, long positions. I have outlined the key levels for Bitcoin. That's all from me for today. Let's move on to the Ethereum chart. And I'd like to look at it from the 3-month time frame. Since 2021, Ethereum has, for the first time, closed and set a new all-time high on the 3-month quarterly bar. And this close gives a big chance for the movement to continue. 3-month bars, when they close above this point, and especially when they form a cup and handle pattern, perform perfectly on the 3-month time frame. And by the way, let's take a look, I haven't checked yet, at what kind of target this cup and handle pattern might have on the 3-month time frame, since it hasn't been fully formed yet. The breakout point is approximately right here. Well, here we see a good move playing out into the zone around $13,800 to $14,000. That's the minimum target that could be reached. Overall, there's a nice bullish pennant here on the 3-month time frame. And I've said more than once that Bitcoin has shown strong growth indicators. But what Ethereum should show on the charts, and what usually happens historically for more than just a year, is that these figures can be at least twice as high as Bitcoin's growth. And let me remind you, Bitcoin has grown about 7 times from its last low of approximately $15,000. So, Ethereum should grow at least twice as much from its last low. And technically, this looks good right now. And overall, this is normal for Ethereum, especially when the market cap starts to flow from Bitcoin. It's precisely during a dump, like now, that a large amount of money is being transferred into altcoins. First, Bitcoin is pumped up, and then liquidity is shifted into other assets. That's why the altcoin season we saw back in 2021, when our investors made 40 or even 80 times their money in dollar terms, yes, those numbers were just insane, could very soon happen again. So, if we take the numbers from the lowest point and multiply by 14, then, look, at least twice we end up, right at around $13,000 to $14,000. But Ethereum only doubles in value. Well, that hasn't happened before. It usually grew 3 or 4 times stronger than Bitcoin. But let's take the worst case scenario, and the numbers speak for themselves. Let's take a deeper look at the chart. Here, on the monthly time frame, we can see that the area around $3,800 is being tested. If Ethereum consolidates here, and if Bitcoin starts dropping, then of course it will continue to decline further, and it could go down to $3,200, and possibly, in the case of a strong squeeze, the next level would only come after consolidating at $3,200. If Bitcoin possibly goes to 85, we might see a squeeze down to $2,700. This is simply a perfect opportunity to buy. And this isn't a long-term investment, it's a very short-term play. Since we have this entire range, let's look lower, the 22nd, 21st year. That is, we've had a huge amount of time, a whole 3, almost 4 years of accumulation. And this dump could be the last chance to jump on this train. I've pointed out the key support levels for you. Our RSI is breaking down, it needs to cool off because the market is overheated. That's why I also showed it on the MNT coin. Yes, as you can see, 1, 2, and a triple bottom that's starting to break out, and the test of this bottom could happen either right here or at most, roughly in the middle of this triple bottom. That's why the price of Ethereum could spike sharply in the short term and then shoot up above $5, $7, or even $10,000, with targets around $15,000 to $20,000. The minimum figures I see for Ethereum, and this could happen literally within a few months, are right here. So that's my outlook for Ethereum. We had a similar situation with MNT. I'll show you now. Here we have a first, second, and third bottom. We see a breakout and a retest at the middle of the third bottom. On the weekly time frame, the picture for Ethereum is basically the same. Only now are we waiting for this pattern to play out. Let's also take a look at Ethereum to Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum to Bitcoin, we can see that there was a strong, significant growth. Ethereum started to outpace Bitcoin in terms of growth and surpassed it by about a full 150%. After that, of course, it needed to cool off. Our next point where there is strong support is the area around 0.033 and possibly even a bit lower, down to 0.032. These are the levels we're looking at. And then we have a downward trend, which Ethereum, with a very high probability, 99.9%, will break through. And I believe that in this growth cycle, Ethereum will be worth more in dollars and in Bitcoin than it has ever been before. The numbers for Ethereum are very, very impressive. That is, in this growth cycle, one Ethereum could easily be worth 0.3 Bitcoin. Can you imagine that? What about you? Do you believe in these numbers or not? Be sure to write your thoughts in the comments. It'll be interesting to read them. Now, let's take a look at the third asset that we're multiplying in our fund. Everything is going well for us with BNB. On the monthly time frame, there's a bullish flag that's playing out perfectly, and its ideal target, as I showed on previous charts, is approximately right here. So with a high degree of probability, BNB will reach the area around $2,500 and may even continue its growth beyond that. Right now, a corrective movement is taking place. I warned that BNB might drop to $800, and as we can see, BNB really did fall to $800, but it was quickly bought back up. Usually, such wicks tend to get filled, so it's still possible for BNB to make another move slightly lower, to the $700, maybe even $780, roughly $800 zone. And after that, I also see BNB reversing and heading towards some good numbers. Usually such wicks get taken out because people who don't understand the market, people who don't understand charts but see this huge wick, for them, it can be a key factor that makes them think it's time to buy. But that's not how it works. Well, let's see how the charts play out. What bet are you making? Well, at the time of recording this video, the price is $106,150. Let's see who won $50 this time. Just a little bit off. Work in the United Kingdom. Someone wrote $106,000 exactly. And the comment from Cult of Devils was $106,010. I have to give the winning spot to Cult of Devils. Congratulations. Contact customer support to receive your $50. And let me remind you that you can leave a comment under this video, 1 person, 3 comments, with the exact or approximate price of Bitcoin. And maybe in the next episode, you will be the one to win $50 from us. Friends, today's review is coming to an end. If you found this useful or interesting, please give this video a like. Leave your honest, truthful comment under this video. We would be interested to read them. And I thank you for your attention. See you and talk to you in the next episodes. Bye. Whoop. Woohoo, hoo, 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 hoo. Yes.